You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
All right, let's do it. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. This is another summer edition of Leafs Morning Take presented by Bet365. It is Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill here on July 23rd. We're only 77 days away from puck drop, Rosie. How are you, buddy?
What up, you squid? Yeah, it seemed like a long time ago, but as usual, the summer is buzzing by, and it's opening night is closer than we think.
It is, and we got more of that feel today because the Prime schedule came out. 6 Maple Leafs games on Prime, including the second one of the season. All home games, by the way.
Are they all on Monday again?
I believe so, yes.
Cool, man. I like that Prime broadcast. I think it's something different, and I remember last year being overwhelmingly positive reviews about the broadcast, so that's good. Another 6er of them. That's good news, I suppose.
And a different wrinkle, I would say, too. Like after year one where you work out the kinks, that's where the real stuff comes out. Like I expect this year to be bigger and better on Prime and moving forward. I mean, who knows if they get sort of that extension too, but I think that was a unique aspect of the NHL broadcast last season, which we're about to get to, were the Prime broadcasts and how unique they really were, I felt.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of expecting it to be dust and lots of hiccups and lots of, I don't know, technical stuff, and no one knows who's up, and there's a delay, and then so-and-so, and then this guy's brutal, and then some stupid thing that they tried to shove in there that everyone was like, what is going on? There being some growing pains, but there honestly wasn't. I think they did their research, did their homework, figured out, like, this is what people want, this is what we're going to bring. Little touches, like just sitting there watching warm-up, right? Like, I don't know, people feel the need to fill dead air with bullshit and just for the sake of filling it, and then they just throw a camera on warm-up, and you can chuck that on while you're making dinner or whatever and just kind of see who's moving along, figure out what happens behind the scenes and kind of pretend you're there, I guess, which I think was kind of a little touch that the viewers liked based on the comments. And yeah, like you said, that was their first year, so I imagine if there were any kinks, they'll iron them out, and it'll be even better the second and third year, not unlike Leafs Morning Take.
Great dig. I like that. Our Super Chat charity partner this season is Sick Kids. I feel like our show is getting worse over time. I want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and 3rd in the world. Did you see this poll via The Athletic the other day about broadcast teams around the league, the NHL, and the Leafs ranked 30th of 32 in a fan poll. I don't know what that means with The Athletic, but what's your read on that, Rosie?
I don't really get it. Like, are they talking about like Cuthbert and Simpson, or like what's the? I always thought we're lucky to have a broadcast. Like, you look around some of the smaller market teams and stuff, and some of their broadcasters, and not to bash like American ones, but you get some guys that didn't watch Hockey Night in Canada growing up and don't really know what it should be like, I guess. But I was always like, man, with Cuthbert and Simpson, I feel like they do a good broadcast, and the voice is recognizable. And the longer it goes, the more it becomes, I guess you could say iconic if a guy does it. Guys do that for 20, 30 years. Their voice just becomes synonymous with the team. And I don't know what the hell's wrong with, that the rankings. Why would we be 30th? I don't understand why we would be second last. Do you have any idea on that?
It doesn't make sense to me because also when the TSN broadcasts hit, we have some of the best too, right? Like a Gord Miller, Mike Johnson, the list goes on. And I think, like you, I feel like we're almost lucky to have these individuals calling our games. And then I see this poll come out and I'm like, am I missing something? And then you compare it to some of the other broadcasts. Now, I watch a lot of broadcasts. I saw the Seattle one very high. I get it. John Forsland's in the mix there. It's all preference, right? And that's why, I don't know how much stock you can put into a fan poll, but nevertheless, I did want to bring it up on the podcast. But Chris Cuthbert's a legend. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. Gord Miller, ditto for that conversation too. So that's a difficult debate for me to have, at least.
Yeah, I don't put any stock in it. I just think that's another product of Maple Leafs haters, right? They don't like that They think we get preferential treatment from the league. They think that we think the hockey world revolves around us, and by us I mean the market, the fan base. And so there's a lot of haters on the Maple Leafs, and maybe that's coming out in that rankings, but I don't think there's much wrong with the broadcast. Look, I get that, Hockey Night in general and Sportsnet and some of these companies, they're doing the woke shit, and they have people that don't have a clue what they're talking about with no experience on there, and people just gag and people hit the mute button at intermissions. I get people don't like that, but what the hell's with the Maple Leafs specific that would give them that bad of a ranking? I think they're up there with one of the better ones. So yeah, I don't take a lot of stock into that poll.
What do you want in a broadcast? Because I'll watch a broadcast and I'll think outside the box and wonder what people want in a broadcast. Like, as you just mentioned, I'm one of those people who at the intermission, I do everything but watch the broadcast. I just turn away. I go for a piss. I make a drink. I make some food. But then there's other people who really want those fluff pieces. They want those breakdowns. They want those interviews. How do you like to view your game?
Yeah, to me, just that it flows really freely and has people with some personality who, and like, they're not worried and tiptoeing. Oh, did I cut him off? Is it my, like, fucking shut up and just flow, man. Just talk about the game, shoot the shit, be loose. Don't worry about what you say. Be honest, say what you think, and have people that are knowledgeable, who have a personality, who aren't scared to just say what they think. I mean, BX is a good example. He seems to say what he thinks. He's got the background to back it up, and I think he does pretty well on there. And he can be jovial and joke around and poke fun at his colleagues, and I think that works well. And then sometimes people are so stiff and trying to fill dead air and make sure they hit the right pieces and stay neutral on everything, and it just makes you roll your eyes. But that's kind of all I can say. Other than that, it's the chemistry among the broadcasters and knowing what they're talking about and being loose and confident and just kind of know what you're doing, I guess. It's hard to put into words, but when a broadcast just flows well, they're not trying to force anything, it's easier to watch for sure.
Speaking of broadcasts, really getting into this run for the Blue Jays. I know they lost last night, but did you see that like drone aerial thing that they have cooking now on the Sportsnet broadcast? I think it's really cool, but it's another thing to see like an actual crowd. Like, it just seems to be a sellout every night, specifically when they play the New York Yankees the last little while. But the broadcast has really picked up, and so has the team the last couple of months. Kind of funny.
Yeah, I haven't watched a Jays game in a while. I haven't watched any TV in a little while here, but that's good to hear. I imagine the city's buzzing, and that Sky Dome that I still call it is buzzing. And it's pretty cool, that old building. I know it's a little older or whatever, but when you open up that dome and you look up at the CN Tower, I know I jay out of the CN Tower all the time on this thing, but that thing is absolutely amazing. The biggest structure in the world for a long period of time, and it's right outside of the Sky Dome, and you look up when the things open on a summer day. It's pretty awesome. So the fact that they're buzzing, rattling off wins, so their home record is done now, but they did set a record. They're winning a bunch. There's excitement about October, and the broadcast is solid. What more could you ask for, Nikolai?
Exactly. And the Blue Jays are hotter, and so are the Nation Network's newest podcast, hosted by Lindsey Dunn and three-time MLB All-Star Whit Merrifield. It's your weekly dose of insider stories, unfiltered takes, exclusive interviews, and all the biggest headlines from around the majors. New episodes drop every Wednesday, so like, follow, and subscribe to the 6-inning stretch wherever you get your podcasts, or watch full episodes on the Blue Jays Nation YouTube channel. Did you see who's on Morning Cup of Hockey today, man? I just had a full-fledged boner when I found out he was going on the show.
Nice guy.
Matthew Knies on Morning Cup of Hockey earlier today. Here's a clip.
I feel like playing for Craig Berube has helped your game a little bit too. I know it's only been 1 year, but what can you say about him too as a coach? It seems like you really click with him.
Yeah, for sure. I obviously think he likes those, north-south players who are, big, strong, and fast. And I feel like I fit the mold of the exact player he's looking for. And obviously he put a lot of trust in me playing with, putting me with Austin and Mitch, for almost the whole year. He's been huge, teaching me that way of the game, and really straining the north-south game. And not to make the key plays and not always to look to pass to those guys, to make my to be a little bit almost selfish and try to make the right play rather than, forcing it to those guys. So he's been huge for me. Yeah, I'm so happy that we got him because I think he's a great coach, and I think he's definitely a part of the reason that we're gonna, go farther and really give ourselves a chance to win it.
What a kid, what a neck, Matthew Knies.
I wonder how many pounds of muscle he's going to put on this summer.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, seeing how Knies plays next season, especially when he's maybe the number 3 guy on this team now, behind Austin Matthews and Willie Nylander, and the number 2 guy on the top line. I mean, you can make a serious case for that. So make sure you go check out that interview over the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel right now on Morning Cup of Hockey. That's a sweet get for those boys over there. Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen, producer Vic producing that show as well. But really, really looking forward to Matthew Knies and the body of work moving forward, because it still feels, Rosie, like he's scratching the surface of what he can be in the NHL.
Yeah, he's if you call him a star, I would call him a star, but like potential superstar, right? I think he could drive a top line, a team. He's already, like he just mentioned, getting the trust to play with, the Austin Matthews and Marner when he was here, and drive a top line without a ton of experience. And that speaks volumes of what they think about him in the organization. And yeah, I know he's not 20 years old, but like you just dip your toe in the water and he took off. Like he didn't need time to develop. He didn't need time to find his bearings or figure out the speed of the league or anything. He went from NCAA and just went full throttle from the get-go. And with the way this team is headed, with their trajectory of their identity change and moving some things around and bringing some different people in and hiring the coach they hired, there's little clips of him being a big body, throwing guys down, maybe getting in a scrap, which I'm not saying he has to do, but he's capable of it. And the meaner and bigger he plays with his skill set on the first line, the more of a force he's going to be. I mean, nobody wants to match up against a guy like that. And as he mentioned, he's learning how to play the right way, the north-south, as Berube calls it. And he's got some guys in there to back him up. And I'm kind of expecting a more burly team with a little bit more of an attitude this year, which I hope will translate to more of an identity. And when you get into the gritty times of the playoffs, you can lean back on that. So yeah, he'll be leading the charge for years to come. I'm really glad they locked him up for what they did. And I do not think that we have seen the limit of his potential by any stretch.
Really is a unicorn. Skins 0769 writes in, Knies is an absolute tank, 40-goal season incoming. Spike 11, Knies 35 goals, 70 points next year. Like, what do you think his ceiling is? Like, is he a guy who can get to 75, maybe an 80-point threshold? Is he a guy just better served for 60, 65 points here, Rosie?
What is his ceiling? That's a good question. He's scraping 60 this year. Yeah, 75-point season is probably where he'll end up this year, barring any, long droughts or hiccups or team frustrations or something like that. But I don't think that's out of the realm. Again, I don't think he's scratched the ceiling of what he's capable of. Is that an 80-point, 85-point season? Potentially, but you got to remember he does other things like go and retrieves the puck and throws his body around. He's unbelievable on the walls and on the boards and protecting the puck, and those 50-50 battles he can win like crazy. And I mean, that stuff adds up too. And you start putting that stuff into the mix. I mean, he doesn't need to be a 85-point guy, but I mean, the more the merrier. I think if Austin, he tends to go hot year, take a step back, maybe hot year, cool off for a year. So if he's following that pattern, he's due for a pretty hot year. And if Knies playing with him all year, it's not going to be hard to rack up quite a few points if Matthews is hot again this year.
And I think the game changer was when Knies was placed on PP1. That's another curiosity too now with Marner gone. What do you do with the power play? It looks more and more likely, at least to start, it's going to be Morgan Riley running that power play, but nobody like Mitch Marner to defer to now. You got to defer still to Nylander and Matthews. If you're Riley, maybe that opens up an avenue for him. But I think when they put Knies in front of the net on the power play, the PP did look different. Ultimately, it was the same old bullshit in the Stanley Cup playoffs at the end against the Panthers. They just couldn't score on the power play. I think that was a big determining factor in that series. But I think if Knies continues to hold that spot on PP1, I think that threshold is certainly attainable around 75 points or so.
Yeah, that power play, man. It man, was it ever lost for certain points in the time? And every power play
Oh,
has their ups and downs through the
yeah.
season, but theirs was drastic. I mean, their bad was so bad, like 3 opportunities to get it across the blue line, just in any way, shape, or form. I mean, fucking dump and chase it if you want, but just cannot gain zone entry at all, to the point where it's just such a momentum killer. The arm goes up and we're getting a peeper, and you're almost like, God damn it, like we're gonna come out of this worse than we are right now. Like, it's nuts. But like you said, they found different formulas. Losing Mitch, I don't know. On paper that hurts them, obviously, but maybe you move him off and all of a sudden it's weird, man. Things click. You find some chemistry, you find bodies that just work. Sometimes it doesn't make sense on paper, but maybe mixing it up and throwing more. I don't love Morgan Riley QBing the power play. He doesn't seem to be as confident up there as the last man back and have that offensive mojo right now. But again, you mix things up and you're going to wait and see. And that's kind of what the Leafs are doing right now. They've mixed things up. We don't know what it's going to look like. But they're getting the bodies in place that have that different look to them, and it's up to them to find that chemistry and figure out what's going to work. So fingers crossed for the power play.
What's your first power play unit look like now without Marner? Like, I think what I think's going to happen is they'll start with Riley as QB, then they'll go Tavares, Matthews, Nylander, and Knies. That seems like a logical start, and then go from there.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you got such a good mix there, right? You got shooters, you got dishers, you got a net front guy, you got a D-man. It's on paper that should work pretty good, right? Like, put that power play up against every other power play in the league, and they should absolutely be in the top half of it, maybe in the top 10. We've seen them in the top 10. We've seen them in the bottom handful too. So again, just depends on chemistry and how the juju's going and how they can work it around and get some mojo. And, I like Knies in front, taking away the eyes of the goaltender, being a big body who can turn around, find that puck, work his mitts in tight if he needs to, pop out and be a guy like a Wayne Simmons type guy who can, drag that thing across or pop out for the backdoor play. Morgan Riley, he's not my favorite up there, but maybe that's the little jolt of juice he needs to start feeling confident and get on the score sheet and start getting his game up to that $7.5 million D-man that he is, and start contributing. So yeah, again, it's kind of exciting to see how it looks, how everything looks without Mitch, but with the additions they've made as well.
At any rate, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button at the Leafs Nation 401 here on YouTube. Leafs Morning Take, wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. Now, I did something funny over the weekend, Rosie. As you know, I drove down to Montreal. Before I did that, I stopped by producer Vic's condo. I'm like, dude, you got to try these Simply Spikes. So I dropped some off. I headed down to Montreal. And lo and behold, what happens when I'm in Montreal? I get on the old FaceTime with producer Vic. And what do you know? He's having a Simply Spiked. And I'm like, is this not the taste of summer? And we just caught up on the weekend. I brought him through my Friday night, but it was good to catch up with producer Vic, and just hilarious that he had a Simply Spiked in his hand.
I love it. Yeah. One of my favorite times in Toronto was hitting, what's the area called? It's grown up so much more that Vic lives in. It's got the patios and everything.
King West? No.
King West. Where Vic lives. I don't know. The Esplanade.
Oh, Esplanade. Oh, okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Jesus, thought you were a local buddy. Anyway, sitting there in the summer, sun blasting, unbelievable. And yeah, Simply Spiked in your hand would be the nice little treat on one of those days. So kind of jealous of Vicky boy last weekend, but anyone else can go get yourself a Simply Spiked and try one of those out. I know there's lots of summer festivities happening right now. Get one of those in your hand. It makes it all the better.
And the great thing is like they have a variety of different flavors. Like right now I'm staring at like the peach variety, but in the peach they have like a kiwi flavor. They got the Simply Spiked lemonade where it's just lemonade tasting, which is really, really cool. So a variety of different aspects, made with real fruit juice, 5% alcohol. It's refreshing, convenient drink. You can have it with a barbecue too, right? If you have your friends over and you want to give them some Simply Spiked, have it with like a meal. I think that's a cool option as well. Don't forget, must be legal drinking age, celebrate responsibly, simply spiked. This is what summer tastes like. And I know, fact of the matter, you're going to head out over the weekend. I know your wing's a little bummed, but you're going to have a simply spike for sure.
Yeah, I still have some left of the shipment they gave me. Been saving them for going out to BC. So hopefully, barring any surgical procedures that I may or may not have to get, I will find out today, hopefully. I will be at the cabin, in the boat, cranking some Simply Spikes. They are refreshing is the word I would use.
I wonder if Nick Robertson's been having some Simply Spike, because he's headed towards an arbitration hearing. It's set for August 3rd per Puckpedia. Coming off a 69 game played season, he had 15 goals, 7 assists, 22 points. He made $875K last season. And I'm very curious, especially considering where this marriage is at between Robertson and the Leafs. If it does get to arbitration, I'd love to be a fly in the wall in that room.
Oof. The arbitration process, unless it's changed a lot from my day, it is something else, man. Like it's basically two lawyers going at each other over how unbelievable this hockey player is, and on the flip side, what a useless piece of shit this hockey player is. And from guys I've talked to that have gone through it, it is nasty. When I have no idea why the guy would be in the room. I would choose not to be. I don't know why he has to be, but when the team is making their case for paying the player less money, they are bringing out clips and they're getting input from different people about the mistakes they make and where they fall short and where the comparables of other shitty players. And it's nasty for a guy's confidence from what I hear. So if he's going through that, on the one half, you feel pretty good about hearing your agent pump your tires. And on the other half, you just get torn to shreds by your own team, which you inevitably usually end up signing with. And then you shake hands, say no hard feelings, it's just business, and go and try to have a relationship. It's a difficult little thing in the world of sports, but it'll be interesting. What does anyone say? We talked about him on Monday. The consistency is just not there. He's capable of certain things, but just not by any stretch of the imagination on a consistent basis, which has been his plight in Toronto, no question. But then he just has enough sparkle there to keep warranting, should we keep this guy around, And I think it's going to be as tough as ever this year with the additions they've brought in. I think they kind of have a log jam in the area that he would probably fall in as far as the depth chart. And it's going to be tough for him to keep his job. And we've said this last year and the year before, like he's got to come in and wow them and do something about it. But obviously contract needs to be handled first. So we'll keep an eye on that and see what number the arbitrator comes up with. Where do you think that goes?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. I don't want to get it out of hand because of the salary cap, and he's pretty much a player the Maple Leafs don't want. At least it feels that way. But I'm getting to the point, just put him on waivers and be done with it. If he goes somewhere else and pops off, and I know it's asset management, like Jeremy Tingley over at theleafsnation.com put out an article, I think last week, listing Winnipeg, Nashville, maybe Pittsburgh as potential trade fits. Just give him to anybody. It just tells me the Leafs want too much for Nick Robertson if he hasn't been dealt in the last year. They think more highly of him than they do anybody else, because it just seems like a transaction you would have made by now, but you just sort of wonder what other teams around the league think of the player. You watch him play in the Stanley Cup playoffs. He has moments. He's good after he gets scratched, but you've got to be at a point, if you're the Maple Leafs, you're ready to move on. And that's why I wonder if this gets to arbitration. If it does, what that number looks like. I think it's going to be over $1 million if it's settled. I mean, he scored 15 goals last year in like 70 games, so I get the argument from his side, but we're getting down the road to this whole scenario where it's like somebody make a move here.
Yeah, I know. It's the same Nick Robertson talk in the summer that it has been this is the third summer, it seems like. And
yeah,
I don't know what his value is. I mean, he's Nick Robertson or Jason Robertson's brother, so you got that going on.
Well, man, you would have to think like they would take like a 3rd round pick right now. I don't think anybody's paying a 3rd round pick. I think you're looking at like a 4th, if that. That's probably why they haven't done it yet.
Yeah, maybe. I think there's a few Nick Robertsons in most organizations, right?
Exactly.
The hope for him is high. The delivery is mid, and the guy just keeps hanging out there. But if you're a different if you're a different team looking at that, thinking about, maybe giving a third rounder or something, you're going to go, okay, Jason Robertson's brother. I've seen some highlight clips of him where he looks like he's quite skilled. Why hasn't he done it on a consistent basis? I know what the Toronto Maple Leafs, depth forwards have looked like in the last couple of years. How come he can't crack that spot consistently? You can't say that he hasn't been given opportunity. I think that was maybe his gripe earlier on, that I haven't really been given the opportunity to get going, but I don't think you can claim that anymore. He's been given ample opportunity to take a stranglehold in the lineup and say, I have earned this job. And one thing I like about Nick Robertson is he can work his nuts off out there. Like, he is skating like a fourth line runaround, trying to create something. But it often is for naught. And he just kind of is out there buzzing and just chasing the puck and can't really get anything going to speak of. So interesting case. It's kind of two sides of the coin. Like, he's capable of certain things and the potential's there, and everyone would love nothing more than for him to take a big step forward and say, I have gotten better. I have learned. I know now how to make a contribution on a regular basis. But he just hasn't done that. So, yeah, the plight of Nick Robertson continues. We'll watch that arbitration case and see what the arbitrator comes up with and see if they get something done or if they move on down the road.
Surprisingly, there's still a lot of Nick Robertson backers in our show chat, which,
again, the market,
I get
it's
it.
huge. There's going to be people that like him. There's going to be people that like anybody, man. There were people that liked me. Crazy. But
I don't know about that.
It's just such a huge market. You're going to find people that love him. But no, I do see that in the comment section and online where people are just, are you nuts? Get moving on from this guy. You will regret it. And it's just like maybe not. Like, how do you not, like, based on what? How do you argue to the death for a Nick Robertson? He's just kind of mid.
It's a weird hill to die on.
I know.
I think, to your point, every team has like 2 or 3 of these guys where they work or they don't work out and they move on.
I would agree. And it happens all the time. And it's hard because you want them to do something, but they can't quite take that step. And it's tough to move on from them because you've invested in them and drafted them and tried to develop them, and you think that there is some light at the end of the tunnel. But yeah, every team comes to a point in time, and that might be Nick this year because they've brought in some other guys that are going to be
where he fits the question.
That's right? Exactly. So I don't know, but you run into, like, maybe, I don't know, say you get him for $950 or $1 million. I don't know if he's worth that. You run into injury problems at some point in the season and you're bleeding points and you wish you had a capable NHLer to bring up, but you don't. And you're bringing up these kind of scrubby American leaguers or some guys that aren't ready and you wish you had Nick Robertson. I mean, that's a scenario where I think you'd wish you'd hung on to him, but you give a guy $1 million because you might be in that position. I don't really know. Again, he's just kind of always straddling the line, isn't he?
He is. I mean, to me, he's comparable to like a long reliever in baseball. Like, yeah, it's great to have one. I mean, they mop up the floor when you're getting shit kicked or you're up big, but like, ultimately, what value does he have to your roster? And I think ultimately the fact that they haven't been able to deal him in 2 years now tells you all you need to know about the trade market. Nobody really wants Nick Robertson. A lot of you in the chat brought up a really good point. Imagine a reality series based on arbitration. And on that note, I would love to see arbitration in the NBA and that go down. It doesn't happen, but that would be unreal TV.
Yeah.
Your boy's up to it again, by the way, LeBron James, and he is up to it again this summer. Did you see him dancing in Europe with his wife Savannah to the Not Like Us song? He's supposedly friends with Drake. Like, he is stirring in controversy right now.
Oh, I don't know anything about it. No, again, I haven't watched a lot of TV. I should have seen that online, but I haven't. Can't stand the guy.
Rosie, supposedly he turned down, I think he didn't want to turn down $52 million to take a mid-level exception to go play elsewhere. And so people are starting to wonder if it's really about winning for LeBron James. And this is a billionaire LeBron James, by the way.
Unreal. So I didn't know he's up for contract. He turned down 50 a year.
Well, he took the option. I think he could have left LA, and I think LA doesn't want him past this year. And he looked supposedly at his options, looked at Dallas, looked at a couple other places, and is sticking as an LA Laker, but they pretty much told him, like, you're cooked, buddy. You're done. This is the final year. We're building around Luka.
Yeah, he might limp out in his career, which is pretty pathetic. I mean, he's
What
got
an
the
ending.
power and the ability to go out with a bang, and it just seems like his arrogance gets in the way all the time. But gross. But back to the arbitration thing. Yeah,
Yes.
that would be fun. Again, a reality series, a fly on the wall to hear the stuff they say. I mean, I remember talking to guys who have been through it, and he's like, it's the highest high as your agent is and your team is pumping your tires and showing these comparables and showing these clips and pulling up these numbers and bringing up these intangibles that you just bring in droves, and you're just sitting high on the throne, and then your own team comes in and just murders you, man. Like, tries to convince the arbitrator that you're the worst player in the world. It's nuts.
It's actually sick.
If that player still has to sit through that, like, what the hell does the player need to be there for that for? I think the player should leave the room just based on common sense and not hear, because of most of the time, the guy spits out a number and they sign it, right? And the guy's still part of the organization. You just heard the coach and the GM and the president and everyone talk down about how unvaluable you are and how little they want to pay you any sum of money. It's not exactly good for an athlete's confidence, but it's a wild process. It would be hilarious to be able to hear what goes on every time it happens.
And we'll see how it unfolds here with the Maple Leafs and Nick Robertson. It just seems like it's headed towards divorce in that scenario. Only time will tell. Meantime, at the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Dakota Joshua, I guess, spoke to the Toronto Sun, most specifically Lance Hornby. He'll wear the number 81 after Phil Kessel. And he knew beforehand Kessel is also a testicular cancer survivor. A nice little tie in there. He says, I love the mojo there and hoping to play a long time here like he did. I love the connection with Phil Kessel, man.
Yeah, that is kind of cool. It'll be weird to see that 81 on someone and not see little hunchback Phil wheeling around out there. But
hi, guys.
Yeah. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, he was a character, man. But no, cool for that. And then there's that tie-in with the cancer surviving, going through that process and having that experience. Yeah. So it's it kind of sometimes you raise your eyebrows at a guy going, oh, really? You're going to wear that number? Are you? Okay, interesting. But in this scenario, it works perfectly for, that reason in particular that they, he even mentioned it. It's kind of a personal thing, obviously, but he brought that up, mentioned it, said he wants to do the jersey number good and hopefully be along the Toronto Maple Leafs organization for a long time to come, like Phil was. So pretty neat there. And I think that'll have some getting used to seeing that 81 on the screen and kind of jogging your memory on who's actually wearing it now.
I'm still waiting for that Max Domi press conference. Maybe it comes later in this summer where he's like, I'm going back to my junior hockey number. It wasn't available. Now it is. I'm going to do it. Imagine.
What one?
He wore number 16 with the London Knights. Did Max Domi. Too early? Too early?
It would be a power move. I would like it. I like Domi, man. Bumped into him at a restaurant there in Nashville. He introduced himself.
Yeah.
And just by all accounts, seems like a really likable guy. I think it's a big year for him, man. Like when you see where, some mock-up lineups and where he could slate, he's got the potential to have some pretty good players around him. My expectation for him is to, be like a highly skilled Nick Cousins, but when Cuzzy, I know everyone hates Cuzzy, but everyone hates Brad Marchand as well, maybe that's a better example. Try to play more like Marchand. Like, just be a menace out there. Like, you've got the skill where if you get a chance, you're capable of burying or making the play and getting on the score sheet and affecting the game on the scoreboard. But also just like be that little Weasley rat out there. He's tough enough. I think he's strong enough. He can bump guys off the puck, get involved in people, be an asshole, get in guys' face, draw penalties, and be a little bit physical and be kind of like a rat, like be kind of a pest and be a thorn in the side of everyone else. Get other players and teams off their game worrying about Max Domi. Meanwhile, you could be paired up playing with, Nylander at times or Johnny T, and you can get hooked up offensively. So I want to see a lot of Max Domi this year. I want him to be in our face. I want him to stand out and leap off the ice when you're watching by doing all those things other than just going out there trying to score a goal. I'd like to see a multifaceted Max Domi this year, and I think they've brought in the guys that can kind of back him up and in doing that as well and creating that identity that we keep talking about. So yeah, eyes on Max Domi this year for sure.
Did you see that shit show on X the other day? Somebody, I guess, on Leafs Twitter suggested that Dakota Joshua can be Toronto's version of Sam Bennett and a little fire on social media. I understand what the person was trying to say, but ultimately, I think the bigger question is, like, is it a copycat league? Are teams going to try to be and carve themselves like the Florida Panthers? I will say the vision for the Maple Leafs has been very, very profound in creating sort of stability on the roster, balance on the roster, depth to the bottom six. And I think to this point, Rosie, they have achieved that. Obviously, a pretty significant hole, I would still say, in the top six. But I think if you compare and contrast them to the Florida Panthers right now, I actually think, believe it or not, it's closer than it was in Game 7 when they had Mitch Marner on their roster, just because of the stylistic nature of it. The guys they've brought in, I think, fit the mold a bit differently, at least, to give Florida more of a run here.
I mean, I have trouble not agreeing with that. You go back to those games late in a series, and yeah, the 102-point guy's on your thing, but he's not doing anything. Like, it's not valuable. He doesn't create. He doesn't add up his 102-point production in those games. It's not there. And then there's nothing behind that, right? So you look at this roster and you're like, I could see these guys getting some mojo and getting into a series and just, have that furrowed brow instead of that scared look on the face, where they know what they're doing. They know who they are. They know what it looks like when things are cooking, and they go out there and they make that happen. And that's an identity, right? And yes, Florida has that. Yes, they took that team to Game 7, which I keep having to remind myself as how impressive that is. They got off to a great start in that series, no question, but I think there is an argument for saying that roster looks like everyone being healthy and everyone having a season under their belt with Craig Berube to play a certain style of hockey that is more conducive to winning in the playoffs, that team right there could have a better chance of beating Florida than the team they just had. And that is the whole point here. That is why Tree Living has made the moves that they did. That is why people have said bye to Mitch Marner in this market, because they believe that is the case. And, I know there's people laughing at that take, and they're adding up the numbers of these players they've brought in, and they don't add up to Mitch Marner's numbers. But again, we're not looking to get 102 points in the regular season off one guy. We're looking to have a team identity in the playoffs when the going gets tough and you're in the thick of it, and you need to put the fucking hammer down and grind out a win in Game 6 or Game 7. And that, I think, when you look at that roster, I understand the direction they're going in, and it makes sense that is a roster that could, in fact, do that.
Because ultimately, you look back at Game 7, who's not on that Maple Leafs roster? Mitch Marner, Pontus Holmberg. Since then, they've added Nicolas Roy, Michael Pezzetta, Dakota Joshua, Matthias Michelli. From the Florida perspective, the only guy of substance they really lost, like I know they lost a couple other guys, but Nate Schmidt, they lost Vanacek, their backup goalie, didn't play, but Nate Schmidt goes to Utah, I believe. They replaced him with Jeff Petrie. So the Florida Panthers this time last year weren't as good as they are now, and I don't think the Leafs were as good as they are now. Like, I think the depth perspective, a lot different. If you go back and look at the bottom six, what it looked like opening night to now, it is night and day, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. And, I think we're pointing towards the question is are the Florida Panthers a team to beat still? I think they 100% are. You just have to look at, free agency this year, and you're just like, did they honestly lock up the same goddamn team until 2030? I think they absolutely are, because they're proven. They have the coach that knows what to do. They have the system that works against everybody. They have the players who are committed to it. They have the superstars there. They have the goaltenders. They have the toughness. They have the attitude. They have the D. They've got it all. But we don't know how this season's going to go. I mean, Bobrovsky could get hurt and they could just kind of fall off the planet. They could try to do the same things and it just doesn't quite work the same. Maybe they're a little tired. They got that going to 3 finals in a row hangover going, and then Maurice starts to get pissed off on why this team's not responding. Like, things happen in a season that could add up to them not quite having their fastball this year. We don't know. But as of right now on paper, it certainly looks like they're the team to beat. But I think you're right in saying you look at our roster and there's reason to believe that they could match up against them better than they have in the past. And they just went to Game 7 with that team who ended up winning it all.
Because I was thinking last night, I mean, when Tampa went through their run and they kept going back to the Cup final, there was just that comp game, like, hey, like, how do we build ourselves to be the Tampa Bay Lightning? When Vegas won, same type of conversation. There's still wear off on that. Like, teams are building their blue lines big because of Vegas. I think the Leafs are a prime example of that. So I don't think you want to pigeonhole yourself for your franchise and say, hey, look at the Florida Panthers. We want to model our roster after that. But certainly there are components you can grab. And I know you knew this the last couple of days. It was the 3-year anniversary of the Matthew Tkachuk trade. And all I could think about the last couple of days, like, if they don't make that deal or Matthew Tkachuk goes to St. Louis or Carolina, are we talking about a dynasty right now is my question. How important is Matthew Tkachuk to the Florida Panthers DNA is the question.
Massive. I mean, they've got the complementary pieces, man, but it's weird. When I think of the Florida Panthers right now, like, Marchand is one of the first guys that sticks out to my mind. They didn't even have him until the deadline last year, and they won a cup without him and went to a final without him. But I kind of think the core heart of that team is Matthew Tkachuk. His attitude is just all Florida Panthers. The way he plays, his arrogance and confidence on the ice, which I'm saying that in a positive way, the way he handles himself with his, chirping everybody, willing to kind of do anything, being greasy, loving his role on the team, right? He's a guy that has that. Marchand's got a lot of that too and came in to complement him while they weren't sure if Tkachuk was going to be able to be that effective with his injury. And lo and behold, when the going got tough, even with, everything buggered up on his body and injured as he was still super effective. So no, the Florida Panthers is not the same team without Matthew Tkachuk. They're still a very good team. You're still talking like Barkov and these guys that are monsters in the way that they play, but somehow they've got frigging everybody, man. And they've all taken discounts to stay there. People laughed when, Zito was talking, right after they won the cup, that I think there's a way we can get all 3 of these guys done. They're like, yeah, right. If you sign those other 2, how on earth would you keep Ekblad? Like, no one thought it was possible, but in come the hometown discounts, guys playing for less than they're probably worth, and they got all 3 of them. Just a monster team. And yeah, it's hard to pick one out because that's exactly what they are, is a team that have all develop this persona of who we are and bring it to the ice every game. And it's their identity. It's what the Leafs are trying to accomplish as well. But yeah, if you wanted to pick one guy out, it'd be easy to pick Matthew Tkachuk as being the, if not one of the, if not the driving force behind all that.
Sickening time of my life was June, from the Sam Bennett rumors that there was no doubt he was going to Toronto early in June. Then people were buying their Brad Marchand jerseys. There's no doubt, like, the Leafs are paying him the most money. He doesn't end up here. I am like you. I can't believe all 3 of those guys returned. And to your point about Tkachuk, there's select players in the league where, and again, he's a prime example, where he just drags you into the fight. Like the day Matthew Tkachuk showed up to the Florida Panthers, it was game time. Are you subscribing to what we're selling here? If not, get the fuck out of here. And I think, luckily for that organization too, their brain trust, Bill Zito, he just always seems to find the right piece. Like this year's trade deadline, a perfect example. He knew Seth Jones from his days in Columbus. He brings in Brad Marchand. Like, they just fit what the team is trying to do, and they were seamless. Because I remember vividly what I said at the deadline. I'm like, Marchand's a good pickup. I just don't know how he fits. They seem to know how to bring in guys who are going to fit their mold of what they're selling there too.
Yeah, and when those guys go out onto the ice, you know what you're getting out of Brad Marchand. You know, like you hitch your horses to the wagon and say, "Let's go," and everyone gets involved. And like from what I was talking about earlier, that's what I want out of Domi. Like I want everyone to just
Yeah.
know what to expect out of Domi. Like he's gonna go out there and be a fucking bulldog, and that's gonna inspire other places. You see. Joshua, he's going to play that way. You just know it. You see Nicholas Waugh, he's Bobby McMahon. That could be a third line. Joshua, Waugh, and McMahon. Like if that's a line and they all have that attitude where you just know how they're going to play and they're going to go out there and raise hell and forecheck and skate. And if anyone has anything to say about it, they're going to puff their chest up and say, what the hell are you going to do about it kind of thing? And then just come at them in waves after waves. Scotty Lawton knows how to play that game. He knows how to chirp off and play the game within the game. And again, it's that identity that they need. And the Leafs haven't had that in the past. They just haven't. They've had this soft, skilled, high talent attitude of we're going to outmaneuver our problems and we're going to make the prettiest plays because we're so talented, and they are, and we're going to beat them that way. And when you get into a dogfight in the playoffs, that all went away. They weren't capable of playing their game. They weren't capable of executing because it was kind of one-dimensional. And you talk about the Panthers. I know people probably get annoyed at us talking about the Panthers, but they're in our division. We just took them to 7. They've won the cup almost 3 times in a row. And there's reason to say, okay, why are they doing that? And what is successful about them? And all the stuff that you just mentioned, you expect them to do that. And I think the Leafs need to adopt that. That's Berube's job to get that out of them. Sit down with Max Domi. Like, I need you to look like Marchand out there. I need you to do that every fucking game. I need every guy on this roster, when they look at you walking on the ice, they know that you're going to bring that and they're going to follow suit, and it's going to become, prosperous for us. It's going to lead to dominant periods, dominant shifts, dominant games, dominant stretches of hockey where you know what you got. And then all of a sudden it becomes your foundation. You can fall back on it when teams bring their best and say, okay, we know what to do now. Let's unload the tanks. And again, I really think that's what Brad Treliving has been trying to build here. It's what he said he wanted to. It's all the steps that he's taken lead towards trying to build a team that looks like that. And I'm excited for camp to see if these guys can put it together and if Berube can suck as much of that out of them as possible, and to see if they can go up against a team like the Florida Panthers and whoever else emerges as a powerhouse this year, and find the formula that could get them into a deep run. That's the whole goal.
Consistency, and that's the one major takeaway, I think, from Craig Berube in year 1, at least in the regular season. More times than not, you knew what Maple Leafs team was going to show up, and it felt a lot different, at least in the last year with Sheldon Keefe. Just the brand, the body of work, and the way they played. But consistency player by player, I think, is big, especially when you get to the Stanley Cup playoffs. You want to know predictability. You want to know what you're getting from certain players. It's time now for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use code NATION. That's NATION, NATION. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit ConnexOntario.ca. I saw a good one in the chat. Somebody said plus 10,000 for Austin Matthews to win the Hart Trophy. I don't think the number is that high, but maybe you look at him. I think that could be a nice little play because for some reason there's this expectation that Matthews just can't get the job done without his Robin, Batman and Robin, because he's with Vegas now. And I just don't buy that. This guy's the best goal scorer on the planet. And I think he's due for a bounce back. And it's funny to talk about a bounce back. He would have had 37 rips last year.
Mitch is so Robin.
Robin's he is, no? Sidekick, or is he Batman? Is Mitch Batman?
No, Mitch is Robin. Absolutely Robin. But I can just see him in that uniform or costume or outfit or whatever.
Yeah, he was ripping around in Muskoka yesterday. Did you see that?
No, I don't watch that shit. Oh yes, I did. I say in his Vegas gear. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah, I mean, you got a disher like Mitch who has been on the other end of a bunch of Austin Matthews plethora of goals that he has got in his career, no question about it. Mitch is a good playmaker. That's what he is. He's a disher, almost to a fault sometimes, wants to dish. And it's like, dude, you had the whole net there and the goalie cheated and gave it to you and you still tried to shove it back door. He's always thinking dish, and he's been thinking that playing with Auston Matthews for a long time. And a lot of those rips that Auston has put up, including his 69-goal season, have been off the stick of Mitch, no doubt. I think that's where Michelli comes in. He's a bit of a disher, has some vision out there, likes to find the seams and make the plays and passes that other guys don't see. We'll see what kind of chemistry those guys have, but I don't buy into the fact that Auston is going to be a shell of himself because Mitch isn't there. There's other guys to get him the puck. There's other plays to be made. And to me, the biggest question mark with Auston Matthews is not what is it going to be like not playing with Mitch Marner. It's, are you healthy yet? And what is going on with the guy? I imagine since the day after the season ended, he should have been on a mission to get his health to 100%, as I do not think he was at 100%. And obviously very tight-lipped about what's going on. Is there multiple things? Is it something that they can't fix? He's seen specialists and whatnot. I understand that. If he's at 100%, can he rip off one of those incredible seasons where just everything goes in? And it's not, Mitch Marner, helped him get there, but there's other guys that can help get the puck on his stick too. It's up to Auston Matthews to get to 100% health and to have a pop-off season again, which, as I mentioned, there is a pattern of him having a little bit of a cooling off period after a hot season, and he follows it up traditionally with another hot one. So if you're following that lore, it would be a hot one, and I don't think jumping on him for maybe a Rocket Richard or a Hart or something like that. He's won all those before, so it wouldn't be a crazy thing to bet on, especially if the odds and numbers looked really juicy.
I would have to think a very motivated Auston Matthews in 25-26, coming off the season he had. By the way, thank you to producer Vic, did some research for us. Plus 1,800 over at Bet365. He's 6th behind McDavid, McKinnon, Kucherov, Kirill Kaprizov, and Leon Draisaitl. I know Edward Lee in the chat told me that Draisaitl's the best goal scorer on the planet. He's not. I'm sorry to break it to you. It's Auston Matthews. The guy scored 69 goals in one season. He is the best goal scorer pound for pound. It's not even close. I'm sorry, Edward.
Not even close. Not even close.
Wow, no, it's not. It's not. When Auston Matthews is on top of his game, dude, you watch this in year one. Every fucking game, 2 goals, 3 goals. Like, we bet every game on Matthews to score more than 1 goal. Draisaitl's a great goal scorer. Don't get me wrong. He gets 60 routinely. There is nobody who scores like Auston Matthews in this league right now. Not even the great Alex Ovechkin.
Yeah, I know. I need him to do it at crunch time. I need him to do it on command when it's tough. I need him to do it in the playoffs. And I need him to shake off whatever was going on this season. Like, he couldn't shoot the puck, dude. Like, he could this past year. Like, I get what you're saying, and the numbers back that up, and he is prolific with his goal scoring. But this year was like, he was a shell of himself. I know he put up some decent numbers with the amount that he played, but when you watch the games intently, he's not himself as far as shooting. He doesn't have that quick rip, and he can't put it wherever he wants. He was missing the net more than he was hitting it at certain points at crunch time this season. And again, I lead towards his health is why my first reaction on why that would be happening. So again, a healthy Auston Matthews is a really good Auston Matthews, and we'll see what he's got this season. But a guy that I agree with what you said, he should be a motivated player right now in cleaning up, where his shortfalls were this season, cleaning up his health, proving that he can play without Mitch Marner, and taking another step in his career as being the leader of this hockey team that's, I think, headed in the right direction.
I agree. And if you're talking about who's more clutch, it's night and day Draisaitl. I think he's one of the clutch players we've seen in the last 20 years, especially in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And you can't make that case about Auston Matthews. Like, I'm telling you right now, if we get the playoffs next year and Matthews is healthy, not even if he's healthy, if he doesn't produce, I mean, the fire is going to be there. Again, it's the nature of this market. Again, thanks to producer Vic, but he tallied up the stats. Draisaitl has 399 goals in 790 games, and Matthews has 401 goals in 629 games. You do the math for me. Who's better?
It would appear by
not
that.
Close. Great. Let's move on.
Yes.
Anything
agreed.
else to add, Rosie?
Huh?
For some reason, there's like more Oilers fans in our chat than Leafs fans. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. I guess they're waiting to see when McDavid's leaving, right?
Well, Yeah, that pisses them off for sure. But talking about Leon, man, I mean, I can't say enough about the guy. Maybe the numbers aren't exactly. Austin has had some insane seasons that are going to pad his stats, no doubt. But like I said, hard to compare the two. But I do think Leon's more clutch, and I want Austin to work on that. But yeah, give another pop off season to Austin, and the numbers are starting to pull away from old Leonidas.
All right, Rosie, we're done. We'll be back on Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. We'll discuss the very latest, and AEW star, big Leafs fan, Adam Copeland's going to drop by. We haven't heard from Cope in a while. We're going to get his thoughts here in the offseason, who he's looking forward to seeing, maybe Marner's exit too. So that's coming up on the latest edition of Leafs Morning Take coming up on Friday, okay?
Okay, sounds good, man. Appreciate it. We will see you there.
Beautiful. Thank you to everybody in the chat at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. Thank you to producer Vic. Great job as per usual. For Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga. We'll talk on Friday. Take care. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.